Welcome and Merry Christmas.
Ho, ho, ho.
Welcome to a very Christmassy
holidays.
Yeah, actually we should say happy holidays.
Yeah. Not everyone's a Christian, Richard.
Well, this is a very special Christmas edition of film franchise Fortnights. It's our second Christmas we've been doing this podcast, but it's our first Christmas special. We'll get into that a little bit later on.
Ooh.
And but today we've got...
See you later, guys. I'm walking out the door.
We'll get to that later on. You could have just put the sound effects on.
No. There's more work
We've got
the back end.
two very special guests here today. Our first time having two guests. Maureen and Wayne Martin, or as I like to call them, Mum and Dad. How are you guys?
Aww.
Great, thanks very much, Richard.
Good to be here, thanks, Richard.
Well, thanks for coming along.
What do you mean you came here?
Yeah, I flew all the way down to my hometown of Christchurch just to do this.
My parents aren't here, and I think this is what it must feel like when there's like a what does Dad do for work day at school and your parents are divorced or something. You know those movies where like they have to deal with like not having one of their parents?
Yeah.
That's what this feels like now. I finally understand. I can finally
what it's like to lose a parent.
Yeah, I can finally relate to Littlefoot from Land Before Time.
So, as always, I'm Richard Martin. I'm joined by Alexander Jones.
Hello.
A.K.A. AJ.
Hello.
And we are today discussing, because we've got double the guests, we thought we'd do double the franchises.
Yeah.
We're discussing Bad Mums, or Bad Moms for our American listeners, and Daddy's Home. Two parental franchises that both released a Christmas special this year. So the stars aligned and we thought it would be perfect. And so I got my parents, who watch 4 films a year, to make their 4 films this year be Bad Moms, Bad Moms 2.
Saga.
And
I tried to get my parents, who watch sex-riddled dramas like Game of Thrones and Outlander, to watch these movies, and they couldn't get through the first Bad Mums because of how I'm feeling very, very salty about it, as you can probably tell. I've had some words to my parents on how they've ruined the podcast.
Yeah.
Another thing in my life they've done. No, I'm just kidding. All right.
All right, so without further ado, let's crack into what are these movies. So first off, and I should get out my notes. And this wasn't actually the first film released, but we'll do it by saga.
Yeah.
So you've got Bad Moms, came out in 2016. It was directed by John Lucas and Scott Moore. And Mum, as the best mum I know, what's Bad Moms about?
That's the right thing to say, Richard. Bad Mums is about 3 women who are all trying to be perfect mums and failing in their eyes. So they decide to stop being perfect mums, and they go and have a whale of a time. One of them stands for PTA, and suddenly everybody's not being a bad mum, and they're all much happier because they're not being a good mum, They're all being much happier because they're bad mums.
Yeah.
Great, probably better than any of the synopses we've ever done on this podcast.
But yeah, as you said, so the 3 mothers are played by Kristen Bell, Mila Kunis, and Katherine Hahn. And then a year later,
which is that's so weird.
Such a quick turnaround, yeah. I mean, it kind of shows in the film, but we'll get to that.
Somebody thought they had a good idea.
Yeah.
But then we got, in 2017, whether we liked it or not, we got a Bad Moms Christmas, aka Bad Moms 2, as it was called in New Zealand.
Isn't it weird that they didn't change the O in moms to a U to be mums for the New Zealand release?
Yeah.
But they did change the rest of the title from a Bad Moms Christmas to Bad Moms 2.
In the cinema AJ and I went to, there was has like the LED lights up above telling you the name of the movie. It's obviously only a certain length, but it just said Bad Moms. Christ.
It sums it up.
But we got Bad Moms 2, and Dad, what is that film about?
Well, basically, the bad mums kind of revert to being their sort of put upon ordinary selves for Christmas, and they're all stressed about getting ready for Christmas and making it all perfect. And lo and behold, the mothers of each of them, or the parents of each of them, turn up on the doorstep right at Christmas, and they all turn out to be bitches, basically. And much hilarity and mayhem ensues.
Sounds like you enjoyed it. Right.
Probably the worst film I've ever seen.
Wow. All right.
It was even worse than the Tigger movie.
The Tigger movie?
Yeah.
That's at the top of your pantheon of bad movies?
Yeah. But at least it was actually designed for an audience, with a mental age of 3.
Right.
Whereas Bad Mums 2 achieved the same thing.
All right. I don't think I've ever met people who specifically hated the Tigger movie before.
No, they hate the Tigger movie.
We took the kids to see it when they were little, and it was like pulling fingernails out one by one.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Screw the Tigger movie. I'm getting on this train. Why not?
But yeah, so talking about like the target audience and stuff like that, we had the unique experience of in our screening, there was like whoever the target audience for that film is, they were sitting right behind us. Which was like...
You described it perfectly, Richard, as the type of people who found out that this movie existed from the back of a bus.
Yeah.
And not from the trailers or keeping up with the media news.
Yeah, these people that were like, oh, is there another one of those? Not the kind of people.
Loved the first one, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, must go see that.
Whereas like, there's never a movie out that I haven't already know that I don't already know about. But yeah, these people behind us, and they were... they were just like cracking up at every joke, every like plot point. They were like, "Oh, seriously!" Like there's a bit where so Mila Kunis's mum, played by Christine Baranski, and she's like the head bitch. And there's the bit where they're at one of those like trampoline places, and like we're gonna play dodgeball, and then Christine Baranski, like, she's like, no, I'm not doing that. I'm too prim and proper. And then she's like, I'm going to play dodgeball. And the people behind us are like, oh, shit! I can't imagine being this emotionally invested in the film.
So they were 30-something.
No, they would have been younger than us, I want to say.
Oh, right.
I reckon.
Right.
I didn't turn
Because
around,
we had some people sit behind us at Daddy's home too that were kind of the same.
Was it us?
Exclaiming, and they started off... Just before the movie even started, they were talking about it. It's like, shut up. Yeah. But they, never expected that.
Yeah.
Oh,
but the worst thing about them was they had the longest lasting potato crisp packet. And it must have been huge.
The Mary Poppins
full
bag of potato
because it was the whole hour and a half. It was just crackling, rustling, and crunching of chips. That's all I could hear.
And it ruined Daddy's home too.
It was distracting.
But there's okay. Where do we all rank Bad Mums and Bad Mums 2?
Out of the pantheon of film, or in amongst these four films?
What we like to do on the podcast is try and match each film on its own terms. So, often it's like, okay, if Bad Mums is a perfect 10, where does the sequel lie? Which can be hard to do sometimes.
Especially when Bad Mums wasn't a perfect 10 by any stretch.
God.
Not by any stretch of the imagination. Bad Mums, marginally better than Bad Mums 2, and they would both barely scrape above 0.
Yeah. What about you, Dad?
I would say Bad Mums, the original, would be a 3, and Bad Mums 2 would be a 1.
Very good.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, right. Is that about right?
I don't think about these. I haven't thought about. We can speak a little bit of BTS for our podcast, because we knew we were doing this in time, and because Bad Mums 2, despite being a Christmas movie, wasn't going to be at the cinemas until Christmas. We had to kind of like stretch out film franchise Fortnights to film franchise month, and I did not do myself any favours by not writing down notes about any of the movies we saw.
Yeah.
Well, the problem with unforgettable movies is you forget them, and that's what happened to me. Like I've often said to Richard, if it's been a really good movie, I find myself thinking about it the next day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
After these movies, it was like they never happened.
Yeah.
And that's I knew that was going to be like that, and that's why I took down some notes.
Yeah, like I'd probably agree. Like, so I forgot to mention. So Bad Moms 2 adds Christine Baranski as Mila Kunis's mum, Cheryl Hines from Curb Your Enthusiasm as Kristen Bell's mum, and Susan Sarandon as Catherine Hahn's mum. So, on the whole, Bad Moms 1 is better, I would say, but Susan Sarandon is the best part of both films.
Yeah, she's awesome.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Yeah, I
and
agree.
that's probably why it got a 1, to be fair.
Sarandon's, you've done it again.
Yeah.
And, I mean, Carla was quite good in both as well. She's, it's always the badass,
Yeah.
don't give a shit characters that kind
Kind
of
of the
appeal.
fun ones. And it's like would be the fun one to play as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And for
exactly.
Susan Sarandon, I feel like she hasn't done a role like that in a while.
No,
Yeah.
no.
Sort of like a drop kick.
But like
A terrible
Thelma
one.
and Louise.
Yeah, I guess.
Thelma and Louise gone slightly bad.
Yeah.
They could. Bad Moms 2 could be a sequel to Thelma and Louise.
Maybe it is.
She didn't actually
I
die
mean,
when they drove off the cliff.
Richard, you say that like someone who hasn't seen Thelma and Louise doesn't remember the ending. I don't think there can be a sequel to Thelma and Louise.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if the Simpsons Thelma and Louise parody is anything to go by, they just landed in a big pile of trash
Oh, good.
and survived.
There you go.
I was going to say it might have been a big tree caught the car, but you never know.
So
You do never know. And that's what's so magical about a film like Thelma and Louise, whereas Bad Mums, not the same prestige, is it? Not the same
not
No.
height of cinema.
I'd say my biggest memory of Bad Moms 2, I don't know if you guys picked up on this, but I know AJ did. There's a bit when Mila Kunis is like walking out of her house, Christine Baranski has just like decked out the lawn.
Oh,
with
yeah,
all
the
this
Christmas
stuff.
decks.
And she and Mila Kunis is like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah.
And I was like,
Doing?
Did she just say Jewing? And
So this is a Christmas movie.
and I was like, it was so weird.
Like,
'cause
we
she's so
both turned to each other.
I'm like, did she just say Jewing?
Like, yeah. It was one of those things.
Didn't pick it up.
No.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just my screen.
Yeah. Next time you're watching Bad Moms 2.
Do you think those girls who were sitting behind us went home and they're like, there's this hilarious part where instead of saying doing, she says doing.
that's like the screenwriters are so
Yeah.
proud of that? Speaking of the screenwriters as well, question for you, Mum. As a mother, how do you feel that this film was written and directed by two men?
It was written and directed by two
both
men.
of them were.
Yeah.
Same two guys.
Doesn't surprise me.
Yeah.
Everything became a bit of a caricature. Like every woman who's a mother has the moments, the days, the weeks, the months, the years where they think, I'm rubbish at this, you know. But then your kids grow up and they turn out all right and think, yeah, well, I wasn't too bad after all, you know. And they took that and just made a bit of a parody out of it, you know.
Because it is speaking to that place in life.
Yeah.
Right? And that should exist. That movie
Yeah.
should exist. There
Yeah.
should be a movie about.
Yeah,
how it's-
but they could have done it much better
Yeah.
than that. You know, they didn't have to make it into a caricature of the idea. It could have been a much better film
Yeah.
if they'd actually explored the real emotion of the fact that
And
most
if-
women think they're rubbish at the job. You
And
know,
if like the most beautiful actress in the world wasn't playing the main character.
who seriously didn't quite look old enough to have those
No.
children and didn't quite.
It almost feels like
Work
Mila
out.
Kunis's passion project. She's like, I have to play the main character, and everyone else is like, I don't think you should.
Well, because she was actually pregnant with her second child while filming.
Right.
I mean, when she was filming the second one. But yeah, I remember thinking that because
There's a scene where they say it's after Mila Kunis's character. Who can remember the names of the characters in these films?
well, it did referenced Carla, Catherine
Yeah.
Hahn's
Carla.
character.
Is that? Oh, okay, there you go.
Amy, Carla,
Amy.
Kiki.
Kiki,
Kiki.
you're right.
Yeah.
You're dead right.
Yeah.
Amy, who's played by Mila Kunis, she's just broken up with her husband, and to make her feel better, her friends are like, "We're gonna go get you laid," and they go to the bar, and there's a montage of her.
striking out.
Yeah, striking out with men where she'll say something that's kind of awkward, kind of off-putting, and the men are like, ooh, no thanks. No, that would not happen. If Mila Kunis talks to any of those guys in that bar, short of like threatening their lives, there's nothing she could say to them that would make them go like, ooh, dodged a bullet there. Like, it's Mila Kunis. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, there's a lot of weird stuff in the film because she's like the old one at her job, and everyone's like, "Oh, you're so stuffy and old." It's like,
Yeah.
She's 32. Yeah.
yeah.
And then they drop a mad Game of Thrones spoiler in this in the middle of
Really?
that scene.
What was that?
I won't do it out of the respect. I'm going to show the respect for people who are behind in Game of Thrones that the Bad Mums movies didn't feel was necessary. They drop a massive spoiler. With what's the actor's name? The guy who played like her boss.
I can barely picture him.
He's in Hot Tub Time Machine and shit like that.
I don't know his name.
Yeah,
the young
yeah.
dude. Yeah.
He basically says, or there's a joke about how he took time off after a certain character was killed, and that's
Right.
to emphasize how useless of an employee he is. But I was like, you can't just that movie came out. That movie would have come out right around the heat spot of that happening in the story. Oh, maybe it was a year later, but still, it's
Didn't
still
he
like
say
a massive.
everybody took a day off when he died?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It was
Good
just
memory.
anyway. That was my little gripe. That ruined the movie. Spoiled Game of Thrones for me.
One other thing that I found weird in the film was that, like, so they all learn to be better mums by the end of it, but
By being bad mums.
Well, they
Yeah.
learned that being a bad mum is everyone's a bad mum.
But even the so-called good girls, the perfect moms, the
Yeah.
ones that they were all wanting to be like, they're all, they at least show that they're flawed as well.
Yeah.
You know, and that they actually, when they get less uptight about being a mother and enjoying it, they became better mums for being not
Yeah.
quite so perfect.
and then you get the sequel. So at the end of the film, Mila Kunis is elected head of the PTA, and
Which is something she ran for out of spite.
Yeah, yeah.
Particularly passionate about it.
it's
She didn't really want it.
No, this
She was
is
just
gonna
going
be
to
such a
reform it.
big
Yeah.
job. And then, so obviously, the sequel goes into that quite a lot about the fact that it's actually quite a difficult job being head of the PTA.
Yeah.
No,
it
it's,
doesn't.
it's never mentioned.
Never mentioned. Didn't exist.
Amy has such a good life in that movie. Like, other than her husband cheating on her, I guess, everything else about her life is like, it's probably better than my life. Like, you know, you got like kids, you got like a passion project, you got a cool job at a like
Coffee
place.
I want to say
like,
coffee. I don't know.
I don't know. Her life wasn't that bad. Stakes
yeah.
weren't high enough.
Of course, the men in that were all douchebags as well.
Yeah.
Like, which is, as another cliche theme.
It was
is,
a total cliche.
you know, white males are fair game. You know,
Yeah.
you just, it's okay.
No
It's,
one
it's
gives
sort
a
of
white male a break.
it's like it's Simpson-esque like that. You know,
Yeah.
the Homer Simpson. You know, he's
Yeah,
sure.
complete idiot.
Yeah, because the husbands were.
There was only two husbands.
Catherine Hahn's character had an absentee father, and they didn't really go into it.
No,
much to that.
they didn't like her. She'd obviously been a solo mum for a long
Yeah,
time. It was
yeah.
alluded to, but never.
Yeah, and then Kristen Bell's husband is very like, you got to do everything, and I'm the man of the house. But then at the end of the film, the lesson she learns is, I shouldn't do anything. And it's like, no, you should learn to do it together.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
she's just like, and he's like, oh, I forgot their sweater. She's like, well, fucking go get it.
Well, but then
It's
in
like,
the
well,
sequel,
you could've got it.
they
It
were
was-
portrayed as having a healthier
Yeah.
marriage.
So maybe it was just like that morning.
But
She,
the other thing I wanted to talk about, maybe we should, I don't know, how much more bad mums time are we allotted here?
it's just as much as it needs.
Sweet. Wanda Sykes plays the worst therapist I think I've ever seen.
yeah.
But she was fun.
Oh, she's great.
She's funny.
That was one of the best parts of it.
They traded out like any like semblance of realism for jokes with her character. Like she gives terrible advice to her patients.
I wrote down one of her lines though.
What
It's
was
like, you know, as a therapist, I can't give you any advice, but as a human being with two fucking ears, you know, I can't remember what she said. You know, I like that. I liked her. I like that character.
They brought it back for the sequel as well.
yeah.
Yeah, she was worse in the sequel. I didn't write down what I didn't like.
Was
but
she in the
said
sequel? I
something.
can't
Yeah, 'cause there's the bit when Cheryl Hines.
Oh, the
Yeah.
mother-daughter thing.
yeah,
Yeah.
because she's like obsessed with her daughter.
Well, no, I think it's because
Oh, yeah.
she tells Kiki, who's Kristen Bell's character, your mum needs you. You should be grateful for her neediness, because that's Kiki's story arc, is that
Yeah.
her mum's way too needy. But that's not good. Like that's not that's not good advice.
Yeah,
Like Cheryl Hines' character was the wrongdoer
Was crazy.
in that relationship.
Totally.
She had a
Bonkers.
picture of the daughter on her sweater.
Yeah, exactly.
And printed a jammy on her jammies.
and bought the house next door. Got her haircut the same.
And Wanda Sykes' advice was like, good, you should be grateful.
yeah,
She raised you, and it's like that's not I don't know.
But yeah, that's the
I
kind
won't be
of.
going to her for my therapy.
I mean, it's sort of they're kind of anti-movies, aren't they? So they're not.
How much you hated them.
They're going to write something that's exactly that people
Yeah.
receive like you. That well, this is just crap.
Yeah.
The other thing just that I thought of on is just the bad sort of or uneven sort of character development in like the Christmas one with the mums.
Yeah.
Because you think when they say, right, we're going to take back Christmas and we steal a friggin' Christmas tree and do something inappropriate with a Santa and run amok in the mall and get pissed and then like the next day they're all back to being sort of put upon what are we going to do about Christmas type people. It's like they just took a dive. And the other thing was the Mila Kunis's mum.
Yeah.
How when they went and played dodgeball, she was really getting into the dodgeball, and I thought, well, okay, here is the turning of turning of this character.
She's not so bad.
It's going to turn here, but next day it's she's back to bitch again.
I noticed that too.
Yeah.
It was almost like she wouldn't have played dodgeball. Like
Yeah.
it was a way for all the characters to clash physically, but like in their story, in their own.
Yeah.
Or if she did, she was going to really, really turn out to be amazing and vent her anger and,
Like, that would have been a cool, like, sort of
Toward
end
the
to her
end.
character
Yeah,
arc.
yeah,
And,
yeah.
and we'll talk about satisfying character arcs in a minute when we get to Daddy's Home too. But they... and then it just goes completely back to normal.
Yeah,
And
that was
film,
weird.
It's like every 5 minutes they're like, oh my god, there hasn't been a musical montage in seconds, and so they just cut to like this.
it was like they had a formula. We're going to do this, and it didn't matter whether
They
it
just chucked it
added to
together.
the story or
Yeah.
whether it just was a piece of.
It was like
crap, really.
set up, punchline, musical montage, dun
Yeah.
dun dun dun,
Yeah.
dun, and so on. Yeah.
Yeah.
It had
And
a
like-
rushed to sequel kind of feel
Yeah, I mean,
about
it
it.
came
Yeah.
out
Just
like
get it out.
18 months later. Yeah.
But was it the fact that at the end of the first film they had the actresses sitting down with their real mothers,
Yeah.
and so
They gave
they
someone an idea.
and gave someone an idea. That's what we could do. We could bring in the next generation, but it didn't even work as well as the real people talking about their real lives.
That was the best part of the film.
Yeah.
Was-
Yeah.
And at the end of the first film, the like 3-4 main actresses.
Was-
'cause
yeah, it was quite a few of
Applegate's
them.
there as well.
Yeah, and Jada Pinkett.
They all sit. Oh yeah, Jada Pinkett's gone, and they all sit down with their actual mothers and just talk about like. Just have a wee chat, and it's like it's the best part of the movie. It's like the whole film was kind of worth it because of this, and then
One of them's mother, whose mother took them, was it Christine Applegate's mother took her to an Al Pacino, totally inappropriate
Yeah,
Al
yeah,
Pacino
yeah, Al
film,
Pacino
and show that,
movie.
but the mother goes, but it's Al Pacino.
yeah, and then that movie, fun fact, also stars Ed O'Neill, who played her dad in
All in the
Married with Children.
Married with
Married with
Children,
Children, yeah.
But yeah, and then so we have this great credit scene in Bad Mums, and then what are we treated to during the credits of Bad Moms 2? All the characters do this like
The most
weird song and
cringe
dance.
Yeah.
with horrible, ugly Christmas jerseys on.
And that was one of the worst things, Bad Mums too. Because, I mean, it was bad enough, start of the movie, you walk in there and there's like 30-somethings. Like they're all about
Or
between
under.
32 and 33.
Women.
And then there's us, and we're sitting down the far end, so we've got to sort of walk right across in front of everyone, sit down, and sitting there, and it's like, the trailer, one of the trailers is 50 Shades of Grey, and I'm like shrinking lower and lower.
50 Shades Freed.
Oh, is it? I'm
Or
sorry.
darker, which
Yeah.
Freed.
Yeah,
right.
sorry, I
You're
tried
right,
to
absolutely.
block it out. But I just
Mumblings
felt like
in
I was
the background
in a
of
parallel
Moscow Ciudad.
universe, or like I was undercover at some weird cult or something. It was just I was in the wrong place. I wasn't very undercover because I was very recognisable. But
I was in the wrong place is such a good critical review of Bad Mums too.
yeah, that is.
So then we get the
Sums it
musical
up.
montage and the ugly jerseys at
You
the
guys
end.
wanted to leave straight.
As soon as the credits roll, we were out of there.
That was where I was.
Unfortunately,
We couldn't, because again we would have to walk right in front of everyone, putting
Yeah, who
ourselves
will-
on display.
They were all watching.
And not a person left.
No, they all sat and watched that.
Get us out of here.
For the montage.
Yeah.
Get us out of here.
So, yeah.
So because we didn't actually want to be seen either going in or walking out.
Yeah.
We wanted to be incognito almost.
If your life was a Bad Mums movie, you'd run into someone from like one of your social groups.
Absolutely.
And going to like
Yeah.
what's a great movie playing.
What's at the moment?
Or
Yeah.
they go to like, call me by your name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, are you here to see Lady Bird? Like, what are you here to? They're like, yeah. There you go. I've written the scene for Bad Mums 3.
Yeah, so when we first, because I was scootering home, and one day, and I saw a poster for Daddy's Home 2, because the Daddy's Home 2 posters were up for ages before it came out.
Yeah, it was.
There, and then I saw the Bad Moms 2 poster, and I was like, these are both Christmas movies. And I was like, wait a minute, AJ, I've got an idea. And I was like, trying to figure out the best way to do it. I was like, do we get my parents to watch one franchise, your parents to watch another one, then we put them together, or do we like... And then we set it on, we'll get them to all watch both, and we'll have 6 people on the
I've got
podcast.
to read out some messages.
Get that ready. But I was like... Because AJ was like, yeah, sweet, my parents will do it, whatever. And I was like, oh, my parents don't really watch that many films. And when they do, it's because you've done immense amounts of research to know that it's like a good film worthy of your time. And even then, if it doesn't catch you in the first 12 minutes...
and I have to say, none of those movies would have passed the 12-minute test.
But then, no, you guys agreed to do it, and more power to you. And, do you want to go into what happened with your parents?
For a bit of background, my parents, they're conservative Christian people. That's fine. I'm not saying, I
don't hate my parents.
I don't hate my parents, but I did realise that there was a certain amount of like my dad. I don't think my dad watches a lot of stuff because he doesn't want to see
anything that challenges him.
Not challenges, but like something that he thinks might affect him, something like Bad Mums. Anyway, this is the message I sent to my mum and dad on the 30th of October. So that's how long ago we were planning this. Richard and I had an idea for our podcast Christmas special where we watch Daddy's Home and Daddy's Home 2 and Bad Mums 2. Both franchises are Christmas themed, and do the episode where we have our mums and daddies review them with us. We're not sure if we want you guys to watch all 4 movies or have 6 people on podcast at the same time, but would you guys be interested? And then I wrote, it's important to note that both franchises are pretty dirty and inappropriate, Bad Mums more so than Daddy's Home. But part of the humour of the episode would be discussing these super awkward movies with our parents, which would be pretty funny, but I understand if that's a deterrent. My mum reacted to it. Dad was very keen. He's like, yes. My dad is as much of an attention seeker as I am. He said, I'm keen.
Possible?
I'm keen. And he said, I'll even dust off the old, what are we watching epithet. And that's a little in-joke there that I'll quickly explain. Whenever me or my brother would be watching a movie and maybe like a sex scene or something come on, my dad had the uncanny like radar ability to walk into the room at that exact moment and be like, what are we watching? Anyway, so that was it. And I was like, sweet. That's, and Richard hadn't even asked you guys at this point. And I was like, Richard, you got to ask me.
Yeah, because I was nervous to ask you guys to see when you do it. But I'll explain the context of what happens in Bad Moms. Mm-hmm. So about, 15 minutes into Bad Moms, Mila Kunis walks in on her husband masturbating. And she's like, oh, let me have a look at what you're watching. And then it's this full frontally nude woman on Skype. And he's been having an affair with her. And then, so you see like everything on this woman, but then there's nothing like that in either of the 2 films.
Yeah, it's the only nude scene.
Yeah,
and all 4 films we watched.
Yeah, and it's like right at the top of the first one.
Yeah. So then on the 26th of November, Dad messages me, "Sorry, Alex, but I'm out." And that was it. He said, "Mum wanted to give up 30 minutes. I don't know. Should I ring him? Should I ring him and ask like what the deal was?" I'm going to ring him.
Ring him afterwards.
No, I'll ring him now. He wants to be on it. This is what he gets for betraying my content.
And if this doesn't work, we can cut it out. You know,
that's the wrong person.
We can cut it out and just have this as a nice little bridge between the 2 film franchises.
Yeah. They would have watched Daddy's Home. Probably would have liked it.
Is this where you put some musical interlude into?
This is music. Hello. Hello, Dad. You're on film franchise Fortnights on the Cult Popture podcast.
Okay.
We're just wondering, because you were invited and you're not here. We were just wondering, what deterred you from continuing the venture of watching these films?
Well, it's probably the main reason, Alexander.
Yep.
Is that Alexander Robert.
Yep.
Is that Alexander Robert Theodore. Art is what for short.
Yeah, as I'm called for short. Yep.
Yeah, it's because I like quality theatre, quality art.
Yep.
And having to look around different bushes.
Oh my gosh, that's worse than anything we've said so far.
and I've got to protect my innocence.
Yeah.
And definitely that first movie, I think it's the first movie of the Bad Mums one.
Yeah.
Was, well, do you remember the term I used to say?
We were just talking about this.
When I walked in on you or your brother or your
Yep.
brother, your mum and you watching a movie with some. What did I say?
You said, "What are we watching?"
Exactly.
Jesus.
And that's why I thought to myself, I'd be asking myself that question if I was me, looking at me, watch that movie. So there you go.
Fair enough. Well,
Is that a good answer?
that's a great answer, Dad. Thank you. I respect your decision, but I feel betrayed. All right, goodbye. See you later. Say hi to Mum for me.
Love you.
Love you.
Keep the light on.
Okay, thank you.
Interesting stuff to come out of that discussion.
My dad, of course, referring to looking around bushes, which is probably the worst way he could have phrased the one nude scene in the whole.
Yeah, I quite tastefully. But I don't like that he indirectly insulted my parents by being like, AJ, I like quality cinema,
Yeah.
so I didn't do it.
Nah, screw my dad. Dude.
We like quality cinema, but we love our son.
Yeah, exactly. That's the difference, Dad. I know you're listening to this. I know you're trying to find this part specifically because you won't like the swearing that's already happened. So he'll just skip to the phone call. I hear you, Dad. You're gonna text me about this later. Anyway,
All right, well,
what a great interlude.
what a great interlude. Shall we move on to the Daddy's Home franchise? So that consists of two movies, Daddy's Home and Daddy's Home 2.
Daddy's Home for Christmas. It's a good title.
Yeah. That's brilliant.
Why didn't I think of that?
Daddy's Home came out in 2015, directed by John Morris and Sean Anders. And I've forgotten to do something. Anyway, we'll go back to Bad Mums. We can, once we've talked about Daddy's Home, we can then open the floor to talk about anything.
Sure.
AJ, what is that about?
Daddy's Home?
Yeah.
Daddy's Home is about, you've got a guy who's played by Will Ferrell. What's his name?
Brad.
It is Brad. It's totally Brad.
It is Brad?
You're
Yeah,
great,
it is Brad.
Wayne.
Yeah.
You're great at remembering
We
names.
did only see it last night.
And so there's a guy named Brad, and he his whole life he's wanted to be a father. Then a few years before he meets his soon-to-be wife, in like an X-ray accident, he becomes infertile.
Which is just really sad.
Yeah, he should have sued the dentist like millions of dollars for, but it was just played off as a
They
joke.
did live in a nice house. Maybe he did.
Maybe he did. He kind of seems like a pushover in the movie, though. Anyway.
He was a total pushover.
But anyway, he's got stepkids now, and that's sort of he's trying to create a really good relationship with his new stepkids, and then their real dad, who's played by Mark Wahlberg, his name is Dusty,
Nice.
and he turns
Don't
up.
even need Wayne.
No, I didn't even need that. He turns up to basically win back his ex-wife and push Brad out of the picture. It's a comedy of errors because Mark Wahlberg's real hot and tough, and Will Ferrell's real dumpy and old. Yeah. That's the dichotomy.
That's the entire film.
Yeah.
And then 2 years later,
that's a good time.
It's a good amount of
That's
time.
a good amount of time to leave for like a comedy sequel.
Yeah, and
2
it's
years.
clear that they spent the extra time working on this film.
Yeah.
Because Daddy's Home 2, directed by Sean Anders, so lost his co-director from the first one.
Oh, I wonder if that was... a big deal.
Yeah.
Wait, who was the other guy?
John Morris.
Well, he was the problem.
Yeah. Well, we're getting ahead of ourselves.
Sorry.
But anyway, Daddy's Home 2, my turn to give a synopsis. This one is... so by the end of Daddy's Home 1, they learn to like live together and they can have this like sort of happy family that's a bit unconventional. And also at the end of that film as well, Mark Wahlberg meets another girl and he becomes his stepdad, and then his way hotter, way like whatever, their real dad comes over, it's John Cena.
There you go.
That's a
That's a meme, guys. Sorry.
Right.
Is he a wrestler?
Yeah,
He's an amazing looking guy. I mean, just pumped full of steroids.
Yeah, he's got good comic timing as well. And he's granted more Make-A-Wish wishes than any other person in history.
Really?
Really?
Wow.
So he's a nice guy.
Good dude, yeah. So in Daddy's Home 2, we have Will Ferrell's dad, played by John Lithgow, played brilliantly by John Lithgow, and Will Ferrell's...
Don. That's his name.
Oh, yeah,
Don.
And then Will Ferrell's dad...
No, he's
Mark Wahlberg's dad, played by Mel Gibson, whose name is...
Kurt.
Kurt. It's totally Kurt.
Cat
Yeah.
Mayron.
Wow. Extra points.
They come home for the holidays. They decide they're going to do a together Christmas, and the whole family's going to be there. And then Mel Gibson has the wacky idea to put everyone in a remote cabin because he wants to get Will Ferrell and Mark Wahlberg to admit that, Brad and Dusty to admit that they don't actually like each other. And so again, comedy of errors. But John Lithgow and Will Ferrell have a very loving relationship, and Will Ferrell, Mark Wahlberg and Mel Gibson have a very sort of standoffish relationship. They don't see each other very often because Mel Gibson never comes to town.
Yeah.
And the film ends up culminating. They get snowed in at this.
They get Snowden.
Yeah, they get Edward Snowden.
I didn't spot him.
Edward Snowden comes in and he leaks all. I don't know what he did, but I was thinking of Julian Assange.
No,
what did Edward Snowden do?
He was a leaker as well.
WikiLeaks,
Yeah, he was a leaker.
Well, what did he do?
He's a military
He's the one.
guy. wasn't he?
Military guy. Isn't he the one that's?
Intelligence guy.
Didn't he
Did he
go to the Russians or something?
And he got pardoned by Obama. Is that the one? Or no?
Oh,
was
no,
that
that's the
was
other one.
Assange.
No.
another guy.
Snowden
What-
is like,
Anyway.
oh my gosh, that's so important.
Which
He's
is
listening to
which
this
is the one
podcast
that's
being-
now a girl?
Yeah, that's.
Is that Edward Snowden? No.
Really?
No, I think it's.
No, who's the one that's now?
Assange.
No,
No.
not him. There's another one.
Wachowski.
No, there's now a girl. Got oh no.
Did you know
Anyway,
you guys, the
WikiLeaks.
Wachowski brothers who directed Mark Wahlberg,
You what?
who directed The Matrix? I finally got Mark Wahlberg on the first go, and it wasn't the right thing. They directed The Matrix. These Wachowski brothers directed The Matrix.
No one in my life has ever mistaken a movie name for an actor name.
Yeah.
Like, they both start with M?
Yeah,
I guess that's the...
Anyway, they were the brothers when they directed that. Then they directed a film called Jupiter Ascending, and one of them had transitioned, and they were the Wachowski siblings, and now they're the Wachowski sisters.
Are you serious?
Wow. Yeah.
I didn't know that last
That's
part.
crazy.
Yeah, no, do you not know that? They're both
Oh, wow.
they're both transitioned. So now they did they do Sense8? That show on Netflix? They did a Netflix show as the Wachowski sisters.
Wow.
How often does that happen?
Maybe they... This is a real disrespectful thing to say. I'm going to say it anyway. Maybe they just were like...
It's Christmas.
Where they really wanted like a pull for more female directors. They're like, right, you know what we have to do.
Anyway.
So anyway, they get snowed.
Don't at me.
They get snowed in at this movie theater, and everything kind of culminates, and they all learn their lessons, and it's very nice.
Just remembered something.
Yes.
The person who's changed their sex and is now a girl is Bradley Manning.
When you say remembered,
No, I did. No, I looked up Edward Snowden, but it wasn't him, and I remembered. No, seriously,
well
I
done.
remembered.
Yeah,
Seriously.
well done. Yeah.
So, Daddy's Home. Which one did everyone prefer?
Second for me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Second.
second for me.
I don't even want to talk about the first one.
Yeah.
I have nothing to say
The first
about
one is
Daddy's
like borderline unwatchable. And
It's the worst of the
And the
four.
second one is one of my favourite movies of the year.
Home. No, I wouldn't. I don't know if I'd say it was...
I wouldn't say it was a no.
No?
No.
Not at all, really. Maybe we are in the minority here, Richard. Because we walked out of that movie just flabbergasted at how much we enjoyed it.
Yeah, well, okay, so I forgot to do this for Bad Moms, but the what do the critics have to say? Oh my god, just did the phone. So, Bad Mums, the original, has a 58% critic score on Rotten Tomatoes, and sequel has a 29% critic score. Daddy's Home has a 31% critic score, and Daddy's Home 2 has 19%. It's the lowest. It's the lowest ranked of all of them by quite a bit.
So you're in the minority when you actually liked it.
That's weird. Yeah.
I don't see how anyone can hate this film. To me, it was like everything these films should have been.
The casting is perfect. Like John Lithgow should have played Will Ferrell's father before.
Yeah.
Like, that's such good casting. That's such a good idea.
Yeah.
And John Lithgow on top of that is a joy to watch. Has borderline moving scenes in this film. There's a scene in the film where so John Lithgow's Don is a budding improv artist, basically, improv comedian, and they go to this little place in this town where they're doing some improv comedy, and Don gets pulled up on stage to join in and do some improv because they're like, a senior improv artist, how interesting. And then
so at this point, Mark Wahlberg, got it right this time, has worked out that Don and his wife have separated, but Will Ferrell doesn't know it yet, and so they're like, can we get a suggestion from the audience for a relationship? Mark Wahlberg's like, divorce, because he's angry at Will Ferrell. And then there's like this scene of him breaking down on stage, and everyone's laughing at him, and it's like shot beautifully.
It's beautifully acted and scripted, and that it walks that line between, it's credible that the audience would be laughing because they think he's joking, but you can see that he's. I mean, that must be such a fine line to walk, scripting and acting.
Yeah.
So no, it was.
I think it worked because John Lithgow's such a good actor, and then like he
almost to the tone of the film's detriment.
Yeah, where you're like, like this one scene is
the one wee bit I liked in that as well, as apart from the John Lithgow, was that Mark Wahlberg suddenly becomes remorseful for throwing them into that situation and tries to get them out of it. He feels sorry for them, and suddenly, because he's realising this is all going wrong and it's much more heartbreaking than he intended it to be, and he tries to get them out of this situation, and Will Ferrell's like, no, leave him there, he's doing it good, everyone loves him.
Yeah, I mean, and like, that's just John Lithgow. Like, Mel Gibson's great. Like, again, he could be Mark Wahlberg's father. They look enough alike to be related. And
their relationship was. I really, really enjoyed their relationship in the film.
Yeah.
And this is what I teased earlier about character arcs.
Spoiler alert for Daddy's Home 2.
Yeah, spoilers for Daddy's Home 2. If you intend on watching Daddy's Home 2, turn off the podcast now. So they end up at this movie theatre, and they're all snowed in. They have to watch this movie called Mistletoe, about this like grizzled tow truck driver played by Liam Neeson, who actually provided his own voice. And it's like he's all like, I love killing bad guys, but I love my kids even more. Like that doesn't sound anything like Liam Neeson.
It was classic.
But, it was very like
it wasn't too far off.
It started off alright, but I lost it. And it was this classic like Liam Neeson vehicle, and then after that, Mark Wahlberg and Mel Gibson are like standing outside, and he's like, "Why have you never been a better father to me?" kind of thing. And Mel Gibson gives this like impassioned speech about like, "There's one thing I always wanted to be, and that's a better father to you." And you're like, "Oh, that wasn't really earned." And then Mark Wahlberg's like, "That was in the film we just watched."
That was good.
You stole it word for word.
Yeah, it teases like this.
When we were watching it, I was up to that point. I was like, I hate how much I've been enjoying this movie. And then Mel Gibson launched into that, and I was like, he hasn't earned this. He didn't go through anything. He hasn't learned his lesson.
No.
And then they completely undercut it by proving it was just another one of Kurt's like attempts to weasel everyone.
But then we do finally get the payoff of Mel Gibson's character, and one of my favourite film scenes of 2017. So when I flashback to in the first and second movies, there's scenes at the airport when a character comes down the escalator and they react to them. So in the first film, it's Will Ferrell being like, "Oh my god, Mark Wahlberg's so hot, I can never compete with that." And then in the second one, it's like Mel Gibson comes down the escalator and it's like, "Oh, he's a cool dude," and they're like, he's gruff and shows no emotion, and then John Lithgow comes down, and it's like slow motion, he's so excited to see Will Ferrell, and they run into each other and they kiss each other on the lips. and it's actually really funny. And so they're like, oh, what, they've not seen each other for a long time? It's like, no, they saw each other for Thanksgiving a month ago.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the film, when they're like saying goodbye, and John Lithgow and Will Ferrell have like finally like made up, and because they had a bit of a falling out, and they're like saying goodbye, it's very passionate. And then Mark Wahlberg kind of is like, well, I guess I'll see you in 5 years. And Mel Gibson throws his arm around him and kisses him right on the lips. And it's so funny.
Yeah, it's great. And then Will Ferrell's Brad's mum comes down the escalator with her new boyfriend, who's
Chesley Sullenberger.
the guy Sully.
Sully.
And Will Ferrell rejects him, creating this wonderful symmetry between the two films of how we treat our stepfathers and our fathers and our families. It's like, why is this so good?
But yeah, how did you guys react to the Mel Gibson kissing?
The kissing?
Yeah.
Didn't like it. Yeah. No, I thought, to me, it was this sort of contrived, like, oh, let's throw in something really weird and shocking and people will talk about it. To me it was just a device, and so I didn't rate it. It was one of my favourite scenes of 2017.
These are the only 4 movies you've seen this year. So
actually,
one of those
we go to a surprising number of movies.
This is like
this is a debate that we've often had. But we
I
have
kept
actually
a thing
seen
on
a
my
few.
phone once for, okay, when was the last time we went to the movie? Oh, we go to the movies all the time. No, we don't. So I would put the note in my phone as to when we last went to the movies. And once he was, no, we went just didn't we go just the other week? It had been over a year.
This is historical we're talking about.
Yeah,
here.
this is where Richard gets his like adamant "no, you're wrong" attitude from.
But
That's something Richard
from
But
his
the-
mother.
but this year we have actually been to the movies a few times.
Don't compare us to my parents.
But you do.
Actually, that's
you
a bit
provide
creepy, AJ.
certifiable proof that I'm wrong.
On a daily basis.
Yeah, exactly. This is where
Well,
it comes
maybe you
from.
just shouldn't be wrong all the time.
Maybe there you go.
But we have seen quality movies this year.
Yeah,
We
what
went-
did you guys You saw Dunkirk?
Dunkirk.
Saw Baby Driver?
Baby Driver.
Yep.
Daddy's Home's too better than both of these.
Oh God, AJ. The
I
trouble
didn't
for me
mind
with
it.
Daddy's Home 1 and 2 is I hate Will Ferrell.
He's so hit and miss for me. I wouldn't say I'm a fan of Will Ferrell by any means, but like,
I just have never seen him in anything that I've thought you're quite good.
well, here's the balance. I think Daddy's Home 2 strikes as bad. Like you mentioned, Richard, when we were watching Daddy's Home 1, that like this isn't a good Will Ferrell movie. Like regardless what you think of him, on the spectrum of like I don't know, say Anchorman's his best as an example. Not
Yeah.
his-
Well, yeah,
I haven't
like,
seen
and
those.
the difference
Because I just don't like him. I wouldn't by choice go and see a Will Ferrell movie.
it's that balance between like what's a good movie with Will Ferrell and a good Will Ferrell movie. It's like Daddy's Home isn't a Will Ferrell movie. It's just he's just the lead character.
Exactly.
He's not doing his whole. It's the same with like Jim Carrey.
And while I wouldn't
Who I
say
also
he
don't
was, I wouldn't say he was amazing in Daddy's Home 2. You need him there because John Lithgow is so good as Will Ferrell's father, and that's like this. It's like this big house of cards that you can't pull any of them out.
Oh, don't mention that.
But if you want
AJ.
a bumbling wimp, basically, there's no better guy than Will Ferrell.
Yeah.
There you go.
You know.
Yeah.
And then and to play the like older version of that.
John Lithgow was like, well, you can see where he gets it from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're gonna talk about the climax of Daddy's Home 2.
Yeah.
So as everything's kind of falling apart when they're stranded in this movie theater, they kind of make amends with everyone, including John Cena's character, who hates Dusty, by singing Do They Know It's Christmas?
By Band
And
Aid.
it's wonderful. It's a wonderful scene.
So uplifting.
It rivals
Yeah.
the end of Little Miss Sunshine, where they're doing like the striptease on stage with the whole family and stuff like that. I was like, this is
Take your word for it, AJ.
Sure. All right, I'll go into my spiel here about why that's a good way to do a climax.
Okay.
So
Everyone grab a drink.
well, I've made videos about this on the Cult Pops channel before. Basically, a really good climax, in my opinion, is one that is both external and internally moving. Right. So something like Transformers, the climaxes often don't work because they're all external. the good guys literally defeat the bad guys. Whatever like message the film is saying, which Transformers doesn't have one, but if it did, it isn't simultaneous.
Watch out, Michael Bay.
Simultaneous with it, and then you go to typically rom-coms do this. They maybe this is
There's like kiss and they get back together, that kind of thing. But it's very much like.
It's like,
I just love you again.
Yeah, I just love you again. Whereas something like Daddy's Home 2 or Little Miss Sunshine combine both those closure points together, where something is both emotionally satisfying, like the whole family coming together, and externally, physically satisfying with something as grand and verbose as them performing an embarrassing performance at a movie theatre in front of everyone. And I never thought I'd be saying that about Daddy's Home 2.
Yeah.
But it does it. And John Cena's about to walk out when they start singing it, and he turns around and he's like, this is my favourite song in the world.
Yeah.
It's like in August. I didn't even care.
Yeah, and then he runs onto stage
great.
for Do They Know It's Christmas Time at All?
But there was also the payoff for Mark Wahlberg's character, who
it was established earlier.
Established earlier on in the film that he was going to do the Bono line, but he saw his father chatting up and picking up some friend's mother and taking her out of the room and missed his line, and he choked and didn't sing the Bono line, and it finally gave him the chance to sing it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
ticked off a lot of story arc boxes.
But to me, that's what it felt like. It was tick. Tick,
that's a valid
tick,
argument. I can't.
But for me, I guess I got so on board with the film by that point that because it's like, oh, what are we going to do to get everyone back together? And it's established early on in the film. There's a jukebox, someone plays Do They Know It's Christmas, and Mark Wahlberg's like, turn it off, I hate this song. He explains why he's traumatized by it. And then they're like, what are we going to do to bring everyone together? And Will Ferrell has like this, for some reason, has this like drum, and he's like, and it's like the opening like bars of Do They Know It's Christmas. And I was like, yes.
And it's such a good song and a perfect song for that situation. It's just And there's something about movies that a song injected into a movie gives the song more power. Even introducing the tough guy characters, that was one other thing. Was it Thunderstruck, AC/DC? It was marching on to Thunderstruck, and I think, shit, that's a great song, but I don't necessarily think that if I hear it on the radio, but in the context of a movie.
It is interesting what a song can kind of make you.
Well, maybe that's a key to what I was talking about with external and internal.
Because all your examples are songs.
Yeah. Well, no, because the example I actually made a video about is the ending of About a Boy. Have you guys seen About a Boy? Yeah. So that movie ends.
He hasn't. I have.
Okay. So that movie ends with Hugh Grant's character basically protecting this teenage boy's what would you say? Popularity, because he goes on stage in a talent show to sing Killing Me Softly to his mum. So it's total embarrassment.
Right.
Like, you would never do that if you wanted to be cool. Will Ferrell. The character's name is Will in the film. Hugh Grant runs on stage with a guitar, despite like his whole character's I want to be cool. He runs on stage with a guitar, sings Killing Me Softly with him, and it's awesome, and he embarrasses himself, and it's like a complete kind of arc for both characters. Yeah. And it's the same. It's Killing Me Softly now is a very special song for me, because I think of that scene and how it worked.
And one of the pathetic ways of rounding off a film was, I think, Daddy's Home, the first one. At the end, because it was the Will Ferrell character talked earlier about resolving conflict through dance, and was it right at the end of the movie that they all started there was going to be a big rumble, and then they all started dancing.
Yeah, Mark Wahlberg.
And to me, that was just excruciatingly bad.
I really liked that. I didn't like the whole film up until that point, and then
it's the high point of the film for me.
Really?
And the high point is like a small bump on a flat line.
It was that Mark Wahlberg's character learning something and showing that through physical means, because he's the whole time he's real cool. He made fun of Will Ferrell for suggesting sorry problems with dance. He gets a problem and they're like, let's throw down, and he just sort of starts wiggling his shoulders and then ends up doing a dance. But then everyone gets in on it, and it's kind of
that's probably
the guy who wrote and directed Daddy's Home 2.
As a genius,
you can get the feeling from someone. You can get the feeling from someone like the guys who write the Scary Movie, Date Movie.
Yeah,
what are their names?
Friedberg and Seltzer.
Yeah, you get the feeling from them that they're like, okay, cash another check. Like,
Yeah.
we wrote another movie no one liked.
Yeah.
I reckon the main creative team behind Daddy's Home 2 are probably pretty bummed with like the critical response to it.
I'm bummed with the critical
Look, because there is
response.
heart into it, and that's the difference. They didn't feel like there was as much heart in Daddy's Home 1, but there is
Yeah.
in Daddy's Home 2, and maybe they didn't bring that. Maybe that was all Lithgow and Gibson bringing that. But
Yeah, it definitely is. But one thing I sort of know, like even just when the casts were announced, is that like the casts of the two films, it's like, man, these would make good Graham Norton episodes. They're so like put these four people together, and there is a Graham Norton episode with the four guys from Daddy's Home 2.
Right.
But then like halfway through, they're like, oh, and here's this fashion designer, and they just talk to her for the rest of the show. But then it's that like
you had it right there, Graham.
it's like that you put like sort of
Like a
slightly
good-
unconventional celebrities
good couch.
together, and they're all quite like out there and
Yeah.
got good stories and stuff like that. And one sort of thing I did just sort of want to play a little game, I guess. What do you guys think of like what do you think was the best and worst pairing of parent to child actor?
Throughout the whole franchise,
the
both
five
through
tiers
both
of-
the worst pairing. That's a good question.
I feel like there's such a clear answer.
Well, I mean,
Yeah,
I don't have one
so-
specifically.
I'm just going through them.
So you've got Kristen Bell and Cheryl Hines,
Yep.
Mila Kunis and Christine Baranski, Catherine Hahn, Susan Sarandon, Will Ferrell, John Lithgow, Mark Wahlberg, Mel Gibson. They're all
Kiki
pretty
and
good.
Cheryl.
Yeah.
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 Good. Yeah. I guess, yeah, if I had to pick one, it'd probably be them. But I don't necessarily think they were mismatched or anything.
Right.
But yeah.
Yeah, I think that in terms of looks, I'd say Mila Kunis, Christine Baranski.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
my answer, 100%.
Yeah.
I'm not sure because I looked at because unusually with her you saw the father as well, and it's like didn't strike me that they would have that child.
Well, Mila Kunis looks like she's a different ethnicity. To
that's just that's the only thing.
But it's actually because I was interested to know this, that I looked up the age differences between all of them.
All right.
So Mila Kunis, Christine Baranski is the biggest difference between the two ages, 31-year age gap, and Kristen Bell, Cheryl Hines is the smallest. Actually, the smallest tied 15-year age difference, and which is the same as Mark Wahlberg and Mel Gibson.
Yeah, see,
Yeah,
Mark
15.
Really?
Wahlberg and Mel Gibson to me didn't strike me as being they did look too close in age. Mark Wahlberg did look a wee bit too old to be Mel
Yeah.
Gibson's son.
Yeah, I didn't think that because Mel Gibson's looking so old these days.
He's not looking that
Yeah.
flash,
He's
actually, to be
looking
fair.
bloody
Yeah,
Well,
we're
and
talking about
Wahlberg looks younger than
And-
45. whereas-
But,
he is 46.
Yeah.
But I mean, Mel Gibson was. I mean, he was a great part of the film and made it interesting, but just not a sympathetic character at all. And I don't know whether
Yeah.
it's because I'm preconditioned not to like him because I know what an arsehole he is.
Yeah.
But there was nothing really sympathetic about that character at all.
There's an argument that Daddy's Home 2 is Mel Gibson's Birdman, though. Because in the same way that Michael Keaton...
Do you need to explain Birdman?
Yeah.
Do you guys have... Do you
Of
remember
Alcatraz?
No,
not
that's the only
Birdman
Birdman I know.
So Michael Keaton starred in a film a few years ago called Birdman, where he played an actor who once was like a superhero, which is what Michael Keaton actually is.
And so now he's
Right.
like living in the shadow of having played a superhero. Michael Keaton played Batman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was like this sort of meta kind of thing, and it was quite a good film, won Best Picture that year. And so it's all kind of done as one shot, and it's him. He's in this Broadway play, and he's trying to sort of break free of the image of being Birdman.
Yeah, which
But
is
yeah.
what you can imagine Michael Keaton would have gone through in real life.
Yeah.
Mel Gibson in this film plays a misogynistic douchebag, and by the end of the film,
He's kissing Mark Wahlberg.
he's
on the
kissing
lips.
Mark Wahlberg. And I do wonder if Mel Gibson thought, and some spark in his mind was like, maybe this would defend my public image.
Yeah, well, I mean, because he's kind of slowly been coming back, and
He
because
has.
he directed
He's
Hacksaw
been-
Ridge
yeah.
last year, which was
Yeah.
incredible. And then this is his
Quietly
first,
coming
like,
back. Yeah, but then he does Daddy's Home too.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
like
but
doing like
that's
a doing a
soft
family friendly
thing,
sort of
though.
thing, because it's like probably his biggest profile acting role in quite a long time.
Yeah.
And you have to give him credit, I guess, for because it was almost a self-parody role, isn't it?
Yeah,
You
exactly.
know?
That's what I'm talking
so,
about.
So you do have to give him credit for that. But I don't know, something about him makes your flesh creep a bit.
Yeah, I was talking about this with Mum today. Is that like he is really looking a lot worse for wear, but they treat it like he's still really hot.
Yeah,
like he's come down the escalator. And like, damn, it's like
all these young women.
He looks like a bag.
But he is supposed to have been a space shuttle captain, commander. So he would theoretically be a high profile person, a bit like Sully was at the end. That somebody that would be instantly recognisable. As that. So he has been hot, and he's still training on his.
What did you
trading
guys
on his
think
reputation.
Of Captain Chesley Sully Sullenberger's appearance at the end?
I thought it was a bit weird.
I thought it was great.
Yeah?
Yeah. I thought it was a great little twist, because that was the actual guy, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So, you didn't like it, Richard?
I don't know,
because I'm feeling that you and I are kind of polar opposites.
It's one of those things where if they'd mentioned Sully earlier in the film, it would have made sense. It felt like a fired Chekhov's gun that was never set up. Why
That's a good way of putting it.
The only thing was that you got told that John Lithgow liked to talk to people on the planes, and that he talked to this guy that became the boyfriend of the husband, but they could have alluded to it a bit more strongly.
Because they were like, oh, my new dad's about to come down that escalator, I was like, who are they going to get?
Yeah, I know.
I was like, I was actually expecting it to be Liam Neeson.
Oh, right.
I was like, that would make sense, because that would be like Liam Neeson playing Liam Neeson would be hilarious.
Yeah.
But then it was him. But then I liked the stuff that it added. How he's like, who they like? Oh my god, they made that Tom Hanks movie about it. We just watched it last week.
No, I don't know. I'm not on board with it. It's too weird. It's too like, why is Daddy's Home 2 an advocate for the Sully story? Like it doesn't like.
So you don't think what he did was?
No, I'm saying Daddy's Home 2. It's not Daddy's Home 2's business. Like an egregious celebrity cameo would have made more sense.
Yeah.
It was a bit. I thought it was a bit weird. Yeah. I just thought.
I liked it.
No, and you stand more power to you.
Yeah.
Another fun thing I found out. So all the 10 parents across these two films all do have children. Mm-hmm. It's found it interesting who has the most children. So Cheryl Hines has the least children. She's only got one child. And then you've got Kristen Bell, Mila Kunis, Catherine Hahn, Christine Baranski all have 2. Susan Sarandon, Will Ferrell, and John Lithgow have 3. And Mark Wahlberg has 4.
And Mel Gibson has a truckload.
I knew he was going to win.
9 kids.
Yeah, he's got an infant who turns 1 next month.
Oh my goodness!
And the mother is 27.
Oh my goodness!
And he's 61.
But didn't he have like 7 with his first wife?
Yeah.
Who took him to the cleaners?
Yeah.
He's with a 27-year-old?
Yeah, she's a equestrian vaulter / writer.
Oh man, so my mum loves Mel Gibson. Mel Gibson, growing up, I remember getting her the Lethal Weapon movies for Christmas because Mel Gibson was her celebrity crush.
Right. This was free pass.
This was but this was way before the whole sugar tit scandal that arguably put the final nail in Mel Gibson's.
I don't think it's arguable. I think that's it.
Well, he was already a bit disliked.
Yeah, I guess there was I don't know,
the juice. The juice
thing. The juice thing was a pretty big.
Yeah. And we talk about my parents being conservative Christians before, and Mel Gibson directed Passion of the Christ, so like Mel Gibson's very, very much like my mum's heartthrob. But I would think that by a 27-year-old isn't in that crossover. Right, I guess if you're famous, you're famous. But I would think a 27-year-old wouldn't be all into Mel Gibson. I feel like he's crossed that line.
Yeah, I think he's. Yeah, he's past that line. I think he's past that line even for me.
Wow, and we all know what Mum thinks about Mel Gibson.
I did used to like him, but I think he's past being attractive. He's not wearing well.
Fan of, what women want, Mel Gibson. It's a very sexist rom-com.
No, I've never seen that, so I can't answer that question.
Because what women want, has the opportunity to be like, they want to be respected, but it's like, no, they want Mel Gibson. That's the answer.
Let's talk about what women want. Can we talk about it just for a second? I mean,
haven't seen it.
No, I remember the poodle talks. I remember because he can read women's minds. He reads a poodle's talk. He reads a poodle's mind, and the poodle's going, "Monsieur, I need to poop." Isn't that
Shouldn't
fun?
have a woman's
Was that the high point of the movie? Or
It might be. I don't
That's
know.
all you remember. Is all that bothers to stand
So
up.
therefore, it probably is.
Alan Hunt? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mel
she's good.
Gibson.
Gibson?
And you barely touched your notes there, Dad. Have you?
Yeah, well, I can't
You
read
hardly
them.
touched your notes.
No, I haven't actually looked at them. But mainly, I write notes so that as I'm writing them, I'm committing them to memory
Right,
better.
yeah.
Same as when I was studying. Don't so much.
Just the act of writing
actual-
it down. helps.
The act of
the
writing it
act
down.
of writing it down.
And the trouble is, have you seen his writing? Even he
pretty
can't.
terrible.
Even he can't read it once he's written it
But,
down.
yeah, no, there's a lot of good stuff in there, but you know,
It's lost in
We'll,
the
we'll,
ages.
we'll Instagram them.
Yeah.
10 points
There's
for
some
everything
good. I remember writing down some good lines, like the in Bad Mums when she walks in on the husband, with skyping that girl, and after the exchanges, and she asks him, "So do you have feelings for this woman?" He says, "Yeah." You don't masturbate in front of someone for 10 months and not develop feelings. I'm not a monster.
I kind of want Wayne Martin to be playing that role now. The delivery of that line, I believe
quite like that?
more than I believe the actor in the movie.
There's I was talking about like favorite lines and stuff like that. There's a couple of because for what feels like these sort of movies nowadays feel very improvised. And I think we got it quite a bit in Bad Mums more than Daddy's Home, where a scene will just go on as long as it has to. They'll just keep rolling until Catherine Hahn says something funny enough to end the scene on. And often it's shouldn't have been the end of the scene. But my favourite line across all of the films is at the end of Daddy's Home 2, when they're like, "Oh, John Cena, don't go outside." And he's like, "I was a substitute for Ice Road Trucker Season 3. I know what I'm doing." And Will Ferrell's just like, "That was the best season."
Yeah.
He's not saying it to anyone. He's just genuinely amazed. That was my favourite bit.
Yeah.
Do you want us to have a favourite bit?
No, you've covered them off.
One of the characters that I really liked that we haven't mentioned in Daddy's Home was it Griff? Griff.
Yeah.
The black tradesman.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That was. He has some great lines. You know.
It is relevant that he's black. I did want to.
Yeah.
It is because it was a racist.
Yeah,
because it was-
Mark Wahlberg set up Will Ferrell.
Yeah, because
To
Griff's
fire
there
him.
to repair the house after Will Ferrell destroys half of it, and then he's like, "No, you go upstairs and fire that guy. Tell him the men are here." And then he sees that he's black and can't fire him, which is weird because
No, he says that he's nice and can't fire him.
Oh, yeah,
and then he goes back to fire him after he gets talked into it again. And Griff is like, "What? Is it because I'm black?"
yeah,
Yeah.
that means he's there throughout the rest of the movie.
Yeah, he moves in with
Yeah.
them.
Yeah, because he's a comedian, Hannibal Buress. He's the guy that broke the Bill Cosby scandal.
Oh,
Really?
Yeah,
Really?
he made a joke in his stand-up about Bill Cosby can rape 60 girls and this or rape a bunch of chicks and then whatever, and then people were like,
What did he just
did
say?
he actually do that? And then it blew up from there.
All right.
They're ridiculous.
He was funny.
Yeah, because they
He
kept
did.
giving him these straight, intelligent lines that he'd just come out with. You know, that guy's one of the top 5 endocrinologists in the country. this is from the couch. He says this, you know.
Yeah.
And there's another scene where there was some dramatic exchange, and he says, "I don't know, it felt a bit weird and forced for me," and Maureen said, "The whole bloody movie felt like that."
But it's because at the end of the film, Will Ferrell finally does knock up his wife, and he's like, "Can you name the baby after me?" And then he's not in the sequel, but the baby is named Griffey.
Yeah, that's
All
right.
right.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, I know.
That was quite a nice sweet moment.
What a good film.
What a good film. So, what's everyone's final ranking of the 4?
Just in order,
Yeah.
or okay, for me, we'll start at the bottom, and that would be Bad Mums 2,
Yeah.
followed by Bad Mums, followed by Daddy's Home, and then Daddy's Home 2 was the top.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mum?
Yeah, I've had to rank them in an order.
Like if you had to watch
If
one.
I had to watch one of them again, kill me now. If I had to watch one of them again, probably Daddy's Home 2. Just. But
least favourite would be Bad Moms 2.
yeah.
Imagine?
I'd go Daddy's Home was the worst one. It was the one that elicited the least response from me. Then Bad Mums 2, then Bad Mums, then Daddy's Home 2.
I'd go...
It's a Daddy's Home sandwich.
That's the release order as well.
Yeah.
Was it?
No,
Well, the
Bad
release
Mums
order was a
2.
Daddy's Home. Well, the release order was a Daddy's Home sandwich.
Right.
But I'd go top 1 Daddy's Home 2, massive gap, and then Bad Mums, Daddy's Home, Bad Moms 2.
It's a confusing way to do it because we all went worst to best.
Okay, well then Bad Moms 2, Daddy's Home, Bad Moms, massive gap, Daddy's Home 2.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can get my mind around that.
So now there's a segment that we quite often do here called Continue the Franchise, where we all we pitch where we think the franchise could go or where it should go. I'm going to go first because I feel like I have the obvious... Actually, no, first off, I'll sort of say where these franchises are sitting. So there is a planned spin-off of Bad Moms called Bad Dads, which I feel completely misses the point of the original.
But so does the original, to be fair.
So, but that's scheduled for July 2017. There's been no developments in a year.
They'll do it.
So it's one of those things where on Wikipedia it's like it's scheduled for July 2017, but it's unlikely to make this release date because that was 6 months ago.
Who would star in Bad Dads? Because it couldn't be the dads. It couldn't be the adjacent dads
'cause
to
they're
the
not
Bad
famous enough.
Mums. Yeah, they're not
No.
famous.
It'd be like Will Ferrell, Mark Wahlberg, and
John Cena.
John Cena,
It's just Daddy's Home.
So did they do it and just call it something else?
yeah.
Oh,
Well,
wait a minute, somebody stole our idea. We
Yeah.
can't do that now.
But when asked about a Bad Moms 3, the producer said, well, I don't want to spoil the ending of this film, but when we have shown it in previews, there was some crazy percentage of people who said, please make a third one as soon as possible, because there's kind of a jumping off point at the end of the movie for maybe what you could do if you were going to do another movie. We'll have to see. This first movie came out in summer. This movie comes out in the very, very crowded holiday season. I mean, as we point out in the movie, the moms are busier than ever. So we're counting on them to do all their business and also come see a movie. All I can say is we will see. Who was asking for a Bad
who was that
Moms
crazy
No.
percentage
And
of
what-
the
what-
30
what-
people?
and
It's a
was
bit
the-
like Donald Trump. People are saying, all these people are saying, everybody's saying this.
But what did they think was the obvious sequel
okay, so
thing?
my sort of sequel idea is that both film ends with the grandparents saying, let's go to Vegas. So have Christine Baranski, Cheryl Hines, Susan Sarandon, Mark Wahlberg, Mel Gibson, and John Lithgow meet up in Vegas and do like
A crossover.
Mommy's Home.
Bad Daddy's Home Mum.
Yeah, I feel like I guess that's her jumping off point because it does end with them like slow mo walking out the door
And Bad Mums.
and Bad Moms 2.
I did like the Bad Mums more than the Bad Mums in a lot of ways.
So you're thinking
Yeah.
like a Bad Grands.
Yeah. And or
Yeah.
Granddaddy's Home.
Yeah.
But I prefer almost across the board prefer like the older actors because it's cooler to see.
That's
like,
a good. They should make that movie. There's
That
no
wouldn't be
reason
that
they
bad.
shouldn't make that movie.
That'd be better than the
You
rest of
pitch
them.
it to them,
probably.
Richard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Post it on Reddit. You'll get downvoted instantly. But at least you can say you tried.
Yeah. It's cool to see Susan Sarandon or Mel Gibson in like a raunchy family comedy.
Yeah.
Than it is to see like Mila Kunis or Mark Wahlberg. But I thought Mark Wahlberg was actually pretty good in these films, though. I thought he played the role quite well of being especially when he's first introduced, of just being like so like overly nice that he's a douchebag.
Yeah.
Like because for the first like hour of the film, there's no hint of malice from him.
Right.
He's just like he just actually seems like a genuinely nice dude. But then obviously the truth comes out.
Yeah, it does. What else happens in that movie?
Should we go?
Can I go next?
Yeah.
All right, my continued franchise is kind of it's not really continuing it. Basically, I have a theory, and I've told Richard this theory. I'm telling you guys this theory for the first time. I think, and I honestly think this. This isn't just something I'm saying like, oh, it feels like this. I believe that Daddy's Home 2 was another script. I reckon it was a film called Together Christmas because they make a big deal of calling it a together Christmas in the
yeah.
film. I reckon they had an idea for a modern family has a Christmas together. Right, so it's not like the only thing that really ties it to feeling like it's a sequel to Daddy's Home is that it's the daddies. But if you just went into that film with there's cooperating stepfathers, which is something you don't often
Co-parents.
see. You don't often see happening, and then their dads who represent different times and different types of people, and their families, and then John Cena. It's like if the
John Cena.
If the first Daddy's Home is very clearly about stepdads, Daddy's Home 2 feels like it's about the modern family dynamic, And I reckon if you stripped away some of the jokes in Daddy's Home 2, if you took away the scene where he accidentally lawnmowers or snow blows up the Christmas lights and ends up flying up in the air.
That was quite funny.
But
And the repeated joke of the thing falling on top of the car.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
If they took out those jokes and replaced them with quieter, more nuanced jokes, gave it like a director who's done more of these small award-winning films, I reckon people would really like this movie. I reckon if it keep the cast if you want, probably angle it in more of a way that you think of like Steve Carell and Dan in real life, or Will Ferrell in Stranger Than Fiction, right? So it's not a Will Ferrell movie. It's a movie where people go like, interesting that Will Ferrell's in that. Interesting that Jack Black's in The Holiday, kind of like that. I'm not pulling all
Quite like Jack Black in The Holiday.
Exactly,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Imagine if Daddy's Home 2 was a quieter, still a comedy, but those moments of heart are amplified. Those story arcs paying off are amplified. You take out the Liam Neeson movie. You take out Sully arriving at the end.
Don't do that.
I honestly believe if this movie was treated more like a one that was going to be sent to festivals, that people would probably like it. And that's my Continue the Franchise. And I believe that.
Could
I also believe
have been a classic.
Michael Jackson is still alive and he faked his death, and the proof for that is that there are ghost sightings in Neverland Ranch, and that's something Michael Jackson would do. He'd pretend to die and then be like, but put ghost sightings there. Because
took a weird turn.
Magic's real. Michael Jackson, man.
Anyway,
He's still around.
Speaking of Daddy's Home, Mark Wahlberg mentioned he wants to get Liam Neeson for Daddy's Home 3. Because someone was like, oh, Liam Neeson did a cameo, and he was like, yeah, it'll be cool to have him in the third one if we do one, whatever, shut up, leave me alone. So that's where Daddy's Home 3
So he could be the wrestler guy's dad.
He'd be good.
That'd be good,
There you
actually.
go.
That'd be
Yeah,
really
that'd
good,
be
yeah.
Yeah, that would be
That's Mum's
perfect.
Continued Franchise.
Yeah.
You do it.
Alright, have you got one, dude?
Well, not one that I think would be any good. It's like,
So it'd be just on the par.
We find
you're
ourselves
sort of
in that
already
boat,
at the bottom of the barrel.
Yeah,
How do you keep scraping or not? But the kind of thing that you often see in this, that they do transport it to a different place. So they kind of take the same plot, the same
true,
people,
yeah.
and okay, let's take all those stressed moms, and they have to get away. Or the couples say they have to get away from the kids. They leave the grandparents in charge of the kids, and they go to somewhere like the Caribbean or Rio de Janeiro, and so they're having a wonderful time there. And it's kind of juxtaposed with the horrendous time that the grandparents are having with the kids. They're getting tied up and covered in crap and all that.
Yeah,
and of course. So the grandparents decide we can't stand this anymore, so they transport everyone to said destination.
yeah.
And say it's the Caribbean, and then of course it's the same plot, same dynamic, same bullshit. With throwing in, you're probably throwing in the fact that these attractive black men are probably showing interest in the woman, and.
I love this, cynicism. You're delivering this.
It's totally cynical because if they made this would be the most pathetic sellout sequel in history. But I wouldn't put it past them.
Yeah, no, it's very you have the first one, which is it's at the school, and then the second one is you put it in winter. Third one, A Bad Mom's Holiday. You put it in a tropical island. It's that let's and on the whole press tour. Because no one could be like, it's a great film. Everyone's like, it looks like this was so much fun to film.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you just
beautiful.
And they're like, yeah, we just took a holiday and filmed it.
Yeah.
It's so great.
Yeah.
Wayne, I'm convinced that's what they're going to do.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
it. That's what they're going to do.
Yeah.
No question.
What about, did you have a Daddy's Home 3?
No, not
Same
really.
thing.
The only no, it's actually that. In fact, that is what I wrote. It would work for both. Yeah. Look, in fact, I've got there for both. Yeah, and yeah, you could do the same sequel, and
well, they did set them up just going to Vegas. So.
yeah, and because the other thing was, I wrote down crossover would be, a crossover would be.
Do you think we're the first like sort of group of people to make the connection that the movie about mums and the movies about dads both had a Christmas special at the same time?
Because when I was driving home that time, and I noticed, I was like, of course! I was like, how did I not?
Oh, that's interesting that the universe has provided this opportunity for my podcast.
What Oprah would call a light bulb moment.
when we walked out of the movie, I said, I didn't actually realise it was a Christmas movie. When we went in there, I didn't know it was going to be another bloody Christmas movie because I hate Christmas movies. But
have you seen any good ones?
Love Actually,
which is mostly good, apart from some stories that don't belong. But
the moody people.
Yeah, the stupid nudie.
Common complaint about Love Actually, right?
Take them out, and it's a perfect little movie.
It goes from being a movie you could be like, hey, mum and dad, let's, like me especially. Like,
and it turns into, what are we watching?
Exactly. And I did watch A Wonderful Life. Did we both watch that?
Yeah.
That's a really good movie.
Yeah.
That's not a Christmas movie until the last one.
We did watch The Holiday one year, and you actually quite enjoyed that. It was
why is Jack Black in the
Jack Black and Kate Winslet and Cameron Diaz. Remember the swap houses thing?
That was quite good.
I
just don't know. I don't like Christmas specials. If we're watching QI and it's a Christmas special, it's like, meh.
It's too
I don't know.
cheesy.
I don't know what it is, but I just find it an unnecessary
as a content
distraction.
creator, it's a really good way to like come up with ideas for what you want to make.
It's not that he doesn't like Christmas.
No, I like Christmas. I definitely like Christmas.
Just can people please stop talking about it?
I'm pro Christmas. I'd call myself. But yeah, my original idea for continuing the franchise was I was like, what are some real old actors and actresses, and then you just do like another generation.
Right.
And I was like, you get like Penny White.
Yeah,
and
that's it.
And that's it. Everyone else is dead. You get Kirk Douglas.
Well, I wondered if you could leave it a few years and then from the kids' perspective.
Yeah, get some.
Imagine if Bad Mum's got a distant sequel.
Yeah.
Like that usually happens with like Blade Runner.
Yeah, but that was the only
Wars.
thing I could think of that they could do.
Actually, I would equate that to being like how there were sequels for both Johnny English and Cats and Dogs. Came out like 10 years after their original.
Yeah.
And it's like, those movies don't deserve
There's a new Johnny English coming
10
out
years
as well.
later. Oh my god.
Johnny English was good.
Yeah, but it doesn't deserve a sequel 10 years later.
Oh, no.
Make one at a time,
that's
sure.
That's true, yeah. That's true.
All right, well, that just about does it for this podcast. I teased this at the start, but this is our first Christmas episode.
Oh, here we go.
What happened the first time? And so we'll both explain our sides of the story, and then we've got two
we'll leave it to
completely neutral people to see who we think are the wrong.
Dispute resolution that we're talking here.
Okay, so last year we were like, let's do a Christmas special.
I can't believe this is finally happening.
We've never explained this fully on the podcast. I've had little digs at AJ throughout the last year, but what happened was, we were like, let's do a Christmas podcast, and it was my turn to take charge of it. I was like, let's do Die Hard, Christmas franchise, first and second one.
You love it. Yeah,
big fan of them.
Excited.
In fact, I've got in front of me as evidence pages and pages. Well, these are pages of
notes,
but I've got all these notes about the Die Hard franchise specifically, and then we had to get up early morning. AJ hates when I do this, but we got up. We had to get up at like 8 in the morning to record it because I was going to Whangarei, AJ was going to Christchurch, and we recorded the podcast. We sat down to record it, and I was like, "All right, we're here talking about Die Hard." And then what happened, AJ?
I watched all 5 Home Alone movies instead of all 5 Die Hard movies. Your mum's laughing. I'm off the hook.
So he didn't tell me until we were recording and I'd done pages of research. I was so excited to do this one. It was like the perfect friend.
So you did it deliberately, watch the Home Alone movies?
Yeah.
If you listen to the
create
episode,
stitched them up.
If you listen to the episode beforehand, I go, next week we're going to do a Christmas franchise. What are we going to do? And Richard goes, it's the Santa Claus. And I'm like, nah, what are we? Because I had to get you to like agree to it. Still, I think. And then you're like, we're going to do Die Hard. And I was like, yes.
And then AJ like deliberately didn't watch any of the movies with me. And then, so we recorded the podcast. We've never released it. It hasn't been played. Well, actually, I listened back to it.
I've never
like
listened
2
back
days
to
ago.
it.
I just never listened back to it. And so it's this forgotten relic that we've never released. We've never really talked about on the podcast.
I refer to it as Die Alone.
Yeah, that's how it felt. And so we didn't speak to each other for 3 weeks afterwards as well.
Well, I mean, we were on Christmas break. We weren't around each other.
Yeah, well,
I'm sure if we had still lived with been flatting together at the time.
But anyway, and so the podcast is AJ kind of throwing this curveball, being like, hey, I didn't watch any of the films. Here, Richard, can you make content out of it? And then I was like, well, I'm just mad at you. And so it's not very funny.
We're going to get people commenting saying, can we hear it? No, you can't, you don't want to hear it. Oh my goodness. It's not, it belongs on like cringe, like cringe or something like that.
But anyway, as two neutral outsiders, who do you think
Hold
is
on,
right?
I haven't said my piece yet. I haven't told it from my side of the story
The
yet.
defence.
All
Yeah, okay.
right. Now, first of all, I'll start by saying I've apologised profusely, realised within seconds it was a bad idea, and have since been like, the main piece of defence you had that made me really rethink my actions was the fact that it was you were captaining the episode.
Yeah.
If I was captaining the episode, I think I'd have a bit more right to have done what I did. Anyway, what I did do was I was talking to some friends and I said, do you guys think it'd be funny if like I got Richard to watch all the Die Hard movies and then I watched all 5 Home Alone movies? Because, footnote, no one knows there are 5 Home Alone movies. They know there's 3. The reason they don't know there's 5 is because the last 2 are like so hard to get through. They are so bad. They are so cheap and just stupid. So in my mind, I was like, I'm doing the hard yards here because I'm watching the crap ones, right? For the sake of the joke. My friend said it was a good idea, so I was like, all right, I'll do it. Whatever.
For the record, Jess said he's going to hate you. Don't do it.
And
AJ said, yeah,
and
it'll
Jess
probably ruin our friendship, lol.
But I didn't say it. She shouldn't have showed you that message. I didn't say that with complete sincerity, obviously, because I didn't want to ruin our friendship. But here's my defense, and it's not much of a defense, and I regret doing it. But the one thing I would say is I wasn't doing it to be mean. I was trying to be funny. And I did something that was so profoundly unfunny that I nearly lost my best friend because of it. Like, it wasn't me being like, I'm going to screw you over. I thought you would think it's hilarious. That's why I did it. Because I was like, I had the laugh in my head. I had you going like, oh my gosh, that's hilarious in my head.
Yeah.
And I thought...
But instead I was just real tired and annoyed and...
And hey, in the end, you won, man. 'Cause you got to go on a summer vacation, and after that, I went to a prostate exam. So, I think all in all, I think you got the better end of the.
I got the better day overall. But the thing was that my sort of defense of why it was a bad idea is that like I feel like AJ could have come to the table and said, oh, like, you know, I did this ridiculous thing. I've got all this planned of how we can make it work, but it was just like, oh, I did this. And then
I was very tired. And
it's listening back to it the other day. You immediately give up as soon as you're like, I did that. Oh fuck! And then.
So you want to know from us who do we think was in the right?
I've got an inkling of who you're going to.
I think you know, AJ, that you were in the wrong.
You're intelligent enough people to be able to recognise your own biases here, surely. But I don't think you're a neutral jury in my defence here.
Okay.
But I don't think you actually want us to defend you, AJ. I think you've done a pretty good job of saying I was wrong. I did the wrong thing,
do you think,
and
Well, I think that the thing that in AJ's favour,
Oh, here we go.
the only thing is his contrition.
What does that mean?
That means remorse, basically.
Right.
Yes, that's everything in your favour that I can think of. And I think if you plucked a jury of 1,000 people, none of whom know Richard, I think it would probably be 1,000 to 1 or 1,000 to 0 against you.
Hey, look, out of the 20 people I told about it, they were all fine with it. So that was, except for Jess, I guess, who didn't really care.
You
either
mean
way.
people you told beforehand?
Yeah.
Right.
And actually, no, people I told after were like the main response I got from people, because I'm not a very proud person. Like, if I've done something wrong, I'll try and examine what I did, right?
Yeah.
And I asked people, and the best review I got was like, I would have been mad, but I probably wouldn't have, like, well, I would have been annoyed, but I probably wouldn't have been angry, I think, is what a lot of people said to me.
Yeah.
Maybe you just didn't choose your moment as well as you could have.
And also probably the movie, like, well, knowing Richard likes Die Hard, so he would obviously be looking really forward to it.
Yeah, but have you seen the Die Hard sequels? Like, at least Home
haven't
Alone
even
has
seen
2
the
good
first one.
sequels. All the Die Hard sequels suck.
No, they don't.
Don't they? I haven't
You would
seen them.
know that.
No, don't have 2,
but
3. No.
Yeah, 2 and 3 are good.
We all make misjudgments, and you know
Yeah.
that's.
But I think my only crime is that I didn't get angry enough at you. Because I just got sad and I just didn't want to do the podcast. Whereas I should have just gotten furious at you, and
Yes,
it could have been funny content.
Fuck this!
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm out of
Yeah.
here.
Well, I mean, you got your parents to tell me that they like you more than me. So I think.
No,
Mission accomplished.
That's totally unbiased. Like if it was reversed.
I reckon my parents
They would
would.
still like me more
My
if
parents,
they were
would,
your
no, my
parents.
parents would stick up for me.
Yeah.
They'd be wrong to, but they would.
See, you can't help but say that you were wrong.
Of course, I don't hold it against.
But yeah, it was a year ago.
Yeah.
Get over it
You know.
already.
Yeah,
Richard.
it was we had a big discussion about it about like 2 months ago, 2-3 months ago, and I got really like fired up because that was when AJ was like, no, I'm actually not that sorry. But then listening back to it like 2 days or yesterday, I think, I was like,
why would you listen
I was
to
like,
that abortion?
whatever. It's pretty funny. Yeah, I think like I'm finally in a place where I can joke about it.
So you haven't done Die Hard since?
No, it's not
Both
even-
franchises stripped from the list.
Yeah, so
But you're in a position now where you could both comfortably do it.
well, because we talked about what should we do for a Christmas special this year. I was like, I watch Home Alone, you watch Die Hard, and then we like do a year delayed version of it. But yeah, so we've talked about if we do like a Patreon, which is where you like get you'd be like, oh, I like what you do, I'll give you $2 a month, and so it'd be like, if you give $2 you get this, if you give $10 you get this. It's like what the $1,000 thing is. If you give us $1,000 a month, we'll release you the podcast.
You have access to Die Alone, the last episode of the Cop Poptra podcast.
So you're recording what we're talking about here. So
Yeah.
You're going to release that as a little extra for a little extra treat for people who want to just dial in and
Yeah, like leave a comment. Let us know who you thought was
We
the
have
one.
a few. We actually do have a
Right
few
in.
relatively neutral party listeners.
Yeah.
So I mean,
I'm interested. David Brown,
Brent,
Brent.
what do you
Taylor.
guys think?
What do you guys think? Who was in the wrong last Christmas? Anyway, Merry Christmas. Happy birthday to Dad for tomorrow. I'm
Hey, it's
saying
my
that because
sister's
it's
birthday as well.
The
Well,
day
it's
after.
the day
the day
after.
we're recording when the podcast
The
is
day
released.
after.
It's my
tomorrow,
sister's
actually.
birthday
Yeah,
the day
so
this
this is getting
Oh,
released
sorry.
tomorrow. So
Oh, yeah.
I was trying to.
I'd cut that bit.
Leave it all.
When's your sister's birthday?
Tomorrow.
So today, when this is released.
Yeah, it's the 22nd.
Okay, yeah, Dad's the 23rd. So happy birthday to Maddie and Wayne.
Next Christmas, we're going to do Brother Bear and Sister Act with my brother and sister because they'll watch anything.
Emily would be so pissed off. My sister would be so annoyed if we did a sister-related one without her. But thank you guys for joining us. Thank you for watching these movies. I know it wasn't easy.
Do you have anything to plug? Do you guys have
No.
a YouTube channel or maybe a WordPress?
Not right.
You've
at the
written a
moment.
book, haven't you, Wayne?
Yes, I've written.
What's the book
I've written
called?
a couple of books.
Oh,
Murder on the
my
Mongatapu. Published
that.
by Canterbury University Press.
there you go.
Yeah, check
We
it out.
got a plug.
It's a
Nice.
blockbuster.
Mum?
No, plug.
Mum, my husband wrote a book.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us. Merry Christmas, and we'll see you over the next few weeks.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays, yes.
Yeah.
We over the holiday, I guess. Film Festival Fortnights will be off for a few weeks, but
Like literally one. Like you're gonna get it because it's a 2-week podcast.
no, it's like we're not doing it again for like a month.
Are we?
Yeah.
Okay, never mind.
So, but we're going to be releasing weekly podcasts related to other things. We've got our most disappointing movies of 2017, most anticipated of 2018, one that we don't know what it's going to be, and then another one that is I'm very excited to share with you guys.
Yeah. It's not the lost episode.
It's not the lost episode, and you're never hearing that.
Unless
I
you
wanted to,
give
I
us
wanted to release a
$1,000.
little snippet from it, but AJ said I don't think it's worth it.
Well, I don't think that would be very good. If you like Cult Pop Shit, check us out on Facebook and YouTube and SoundCloud and Twitter and iTunes and where else are we? I don't know.
I guess.
Just Google Cult Pop Shit.
Yeah, just enjoy your Christmas.
Yeah.
And yeah, once again, thank you very much to Maureen and Wayne, aka my parents, for coming on the podcast.
You're welcome.
It was a pleasure.
Chastise my parents even more when I get home and be like, you should have been there, Mum. They were talking bad about Mel Gibson. You had your chance.
But your dad did quite well when you phoned him up.
There you go.
Yeah. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.